ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम्
None of us come from the same backgrounds. None of us have the same story, but that's what makes us beautiful. You can still reach the level of contentment that can bring you to places beyond your wildest dreams. Hi, my name's Destiny Owen. I am just really glad that I'm going to be able to share my story and other stories in parts and areas that people need to maybe pull through something or find what truly brings them contentment.
Hi, my name is Joe Reynolds. My company is Curing4 and I've studied health my whole life since I was about 3 years old when my granddad, who went for the world title in 1936, started teaching me how to box. And from that moment I knew that I wanted to be a professional fighter and train and become an athlete. And from this studying of health, I developed what is known now as my company, which is Curing4. I got into this business because of my passion for health and being an athlete, but more importantly my mum, who was very sick for 20 years, and she was alcoholic my whole life, but what that lifestyle led to was multiple diseases and disorders, which led to 20 or 30 different medications per day. She had no life for the last 20 years of her life and sadly died a quick and short death at a very young age. And then a few months later I actually lost my friend, who was 32, due to a heart attack due to too many blood pressure lowering medications. Because of these two people in my life, it caused me to be obsessed with learning about disease. Where I'd only studied health my whole life, now I'm learning about disease. And over the last 3.5 years I've had great success in helping restore friends, family and associates' health, hence why Curing4 was born, and that's what we do today. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Contentment Coach with your host, Destiny Owen. I have an awesome guest today, Mr. Joe Reynolds with Curing4 Incorporated. Joe is a biological researcher that specializes in functional medicine. That's quite a title, I know. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about what that even means?
Yeah, so basically I started out, would you believe, as young as 3 years old, obsessed with fitness and health, being that my granddad went for the world title in 1936 and he started teaching me boxing at 3. By 6 years old I was hooked and wanted to follow in his footsteps and become a professional fighter, which I dedicated 20 years to, which I fought for England and I was on a 5-year at a professional level, but sadly it didn't end how I hoped due to injury. Developed something called Reynolds syndrome.
Sounds like you had something else in store for you.
Well, yeah, and then, but I always felt like by the age of 40, I'd like to be a life coach, a bit like Tony Robbins, you know, born in that era where we grew up with him. But I felt like, you know, why not at 20 and at 40s, because I felt I had to live life and experience it. My health journey was motivated by my mum, who sadly was an alcoholic my whole life, and it led her to multiple disease and disorders, and she was actually on 20 to 30 medications per day for the last 20 years of her life and had no quality of life. So because of that,
So what is it that you do now?
Well, now, you know, after being, you know, pushing my body to the physical limits that I have, you know, and understanding and studying health, I switched to studying disease because of her death, and actually a friend of mine who died at 32 due to a heart attack due to too many blood pressure lowering medications. So I started deciding to study disease and disorder obsessively for the last 3.5 years, and chose to leave a very profitable business behind to follow what I believe is now my life passion, which is coaching people back to health.
And how do you do this coaching?
We educate people on how the body works, how the physiology works, restore the vital systems of the body, and we're having great success and have done over the last 3.5 years.
Really? That's awesome. I mean, I love the concept, period. But what kind of successes are you having?
Well, we study every disease, every disorder. The great thing about the body is its genetic makeup has weaknesses, and if it's called epigenetics, and it's where you can express a genetic disease through your environmental factors, and you can reverse and change that epigenetic genetic disease through, again, changing your environmental factors.
Oh, that's awesome. I've heard of that before. It sounds really interesting. So what about when you talk about disease, though, like what kind of diseases have you dealt with?
Okay, so anywhere from almost the easiest, as hard as that might be for some of the listeners, type 2 diabetes can be reversed in like 30 or 40 days, totally 100% restored, to stage 4 terminal cancer, being that it can either be reversed or have your life expectancy quadrupled, you know.
And you stay with these people on their journey so that they have somebody to
Yeah, totally. We do
guide
everything
them.
from an hour consultation via the phone or FaceTime, to detailed programs, personalized programs, and constant text messages and follow-up conversations, consultations for 1, 2, 3, or as long as they want to, you know, have our support.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know where they went. Let's see. It's okay, we could ask. And what's your hope for Curing 4?
My hope for Curing 4 is to create awareness basically to the future, which is medicine. This is going to be the future, because we don't diagnose symptoms and then prescribe a drug. Obviously we're not licensed to, but it's more the fact that we don't do that, because any drug on the market basically stops or inhibits a metabolic process and poisons an enzyme. So basically what that means is it covers up symptoms and creates a worse problem. So
you're basically trying to save the world.
Hopefully, motivated by some of my educators that by the year 2030 there's going to be more autistic children in the world than non-autistic, and 80% of the world is going to be sick with some form of chronic disease, that the new epidemic is going to be called non-communicable disease for some reason.
Wow. Yeah.
So we help people just restore the vital systems of the body, and the body does the healing.
Well, it sounds like it's a great option, especially now that we get overprescribed medications so much. So I just think that's awesome, because you always want to go to something natural and something that is more safe than, you know, and always get a double referral or go talk to somebody and make sure that you're on the right path. And what you do is great, because you're there kind of holding their hand, and I know that you do it because you just are so genuine about helping people, and I mean, that's awesome. So thank you so much for coming today and sharing a little bit of your wisdom with us. Again, this is Reynolds with Curing 4 Incorporated. We'll see you again soon on the Contentment Coach on HLTV.
ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम्